Arkansas Naturals here today, and again this year. I think this is, man, probably the 10th or 11th year, maybe longer, that they've come and shared their lunch with us. Usually it's called a hot stove, and we don't necessarily need that today. It's like in the mid-60s out there, and it's got me definitely thinking thoughts about spring and baseball. So I'm going to bring Justin Cole up. Justin is Vice President and General Manager of the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. He is a Western New York native, graduate of the University of Buffalo, and has been with the Naturals for over 15 years, General Manager since 2013. I'm going to let Justin introduce his guests. Please welcome Mr. Justin Cole.
Give him an application.
Will do.
Yeah, it does. Well, thank you for having us. As always, I always look forward to this for a lot of reasons, but obviously it means that hopefully the weather will stay warm and that baseball is not too far off. I do have three guests with me from the Kansas City Royals. I'll introduce them very shortly. They'll have a seat over here and you'll have the opportunity to ask them a few questions about the upcoming baseball year. But before I did that, just wanted to take a couple minutes, provide a few updates on our upcoming 2023 season. Before I did that, just wanted to follow a couple of guests that we had in addition. Our staff is here, kind of sprinkled throughout. They obviously help get everything ready for the upcoming season. All of you being here, supporting us, coming to our games, supporting us, that means the world. All the hard work that we try to put in, we hope it pays off and you get to enjoy that experience and get to watch some great baseball. Coach Norman Bryan is here. University of Arkansas has always been very supportive of us. Always appreciate him coming to this event and their support and all the things that we're trying to do in the community and vice versa. That relationship means a lot to us as well. But really just to kind of parlay into next season, I guess I will state up front too. We're between radio broadcasters right now. Nicholas, our broadcaster, got a job for the Omaha Storm Chasers, so he got the call up to AAA. Very happy for him. We have a new guy starting next Monday, so I'm going to try to fill this gap. I apologize in advance. It's a little bumpy. I've prepped a few questions of my own. I hope they're not terrible, so I hope a few of you can help me out in that regard when it comes time for the Q&A. So just wanted to get that out there in advance that I'm going to try and guide us through this as calmly and quickly as I possibly can. Our season starts on Thursday, April 6th. That'll be opening day. 16th year, 15th opening day. Can't wait for it to get here. The time has flown by, but we've enjoyed every second of it. We'll have 16 fireworks shows. We're home on July 4th and Labor Day weekend. Those are always fun weekends to be at the ballpark. Great crowds, great atmosphere. This past season, 240,000 plus fans came to the ballpark. We've continued to see the crowds build back up after that bumpy ride we all had through 2020. We anticipate even bigger crowds this coming year, and we're welcomed our 4 millionth fan in Naturals history last summer. So again, we don't take that for granted. We know that we have to continue to do what we can to support this community and work hard to earn your support, but we appreciate every last person that comes through the gates and has gotten to see our games. We have quite a few schedule highlights. I'm kind of stepping on some of our news in a few weeks here, but our promotional schedule comes out at the end of the month. We'll have a bunch of different theme nights, a lot of the promotions you've come to enjoy, like I mentioned, the fireworks nights. We have 35 Friday, Saturday, Sunday games in our home schedule next year. We'll have our Growlin' Chickens weekend next year, Jersey Cap combo in May. We have 3 Los Naturales games next year. One is on Cinco de Mayo. The other 2 are in August. We'll debut a new cap for that. We're very excited about that program and continuing to grow it and expand what we're doing in that regard. It's a national partnership with, I think it's 96 minor league teams. We'll be participating in the Marvel Defenders of the Diamond. This year we have a special cap and logo that will be debuted for that. And if you go to the minor league website, you can see all 96 identities. We partnered with Marvel, and they don't want us to call it Marvelized, but I don't remember what they want us to call it. But they Marvelized 96 minor league logos to kind of fit into their superhero theme. So it's a pretty neat deal, and we're excited to be a part of that and to show our fans that. Star Wars night comes back. We'll have 2 Faith and Family nights this year, which are always a great time. Pre-game concert, great baseball game. Again, one of the best atmospheres we get all season. few updates on the ballpark itself. Again, as I mentioned, 16th year. It doesn't feel that old to me. I hope it doesn't feel that old to you when y'all come out. It's a great facility to watch a game, great facility to play a game. But it takes a lot of work. Our agreement with Major League Baseball is through the 2030 season. Our agreement with Kansas City, which has been long-standing, is also through that time. We've had a great relationship with the Kansas City Royals dating back to the time we were in Wichita, and obviously all 16 years we've had here. Our partnerships with our ownership, the City of Springdale Public Facilities Board, and with Kansas City, we've continued to invest in the facility. Minor improvements, major improvements. We need to continue to keep that facility at the level we all want it to, and we take a lot of pride in that. We upgraded our field this last off season, so it's a brand new playing surface. It's something that, from our standpoint, it will drain a lot better. So that means a lot easier to come out of those rain delays and play baseball. But it's state of the art. It's a great playing surface, and it was a big project that our staff took on and worked with the city and the Public Facilities Board to make happen. So we're very excited to have that taken care of. There's some other aspects we're looking at the facility, but a lot of it at this point is TLC. Just continuing to look at those areas that maybe have aged a little and make it look not like that, so it still looks brand new like it did in 2008. So it's a labor of love. It's a great ballpark, and we can't wait to open it up here. And I think it's 80 days for our opening day. A few quick things on the team, but I'm going to let the experts talk about that here in a second. We weren't able to follow up our league championship this year in 2022, but we sent a ton of players to AAA in the major leagues. We had 3 players make their debuts in Kansas City this year: Nate Eaton, Michael Massey, and Miguel Garcia. It's great to see those guys make it to the major leagues. One of the, I think, more neat circumstances was we had a Sunday game, really hot Sunday afternoon game, and Garcia was playing shortstop for us. Within less than 2 days, he made his debut playing shortstop at Yankee Stadium. And I just think that's got to be one of the most unique things. Obviously all the players that are playing here, that's their dream, make it to the major leagues. For him to go from a sweltering Sunday afternoon in Springdale to shortstop in the Bronx, I thought that was one of it kind of ties together what you're seeing on the field and what we're trying to put forth for all the fun things that we do. 14 of the top 30 prospects in the Royal system played for us in 2022. 13 total naturals made their debut at some point. Some are from the 2021 team this past year. So I got to go to a game in August, and it was a ton of very recent former naturals and some of the, hate to say older guard, but like Salvador Perez. It's amazing that he's a veteran now. We all remember when he played here. But it was really, really neat to see the mix of naturals from 2010, 11, 12, 13, and the new guard, Bobby Witt, Jay Melendez, Nick Prado, and on and on and on. Those were a couple of the players that made their way up there this year. Vinny Pasquantino was a key member of our championship team. He was on that team that swept Wichita. He had a great year, so it was excellent to see that. You may see him in bobblehead form this year. We're excited about that. And again, just looking back, with this being the 15th opening day real quickly, we've had 3 players of the year play for the Naturals, league players of the year. Keila Kaihui in 2008, some of you probably remember him. He had a lot of great stats, but his on-base percentage that year was .463. It's almost half the time he came to the plate, he was either getting a hit or walking. It was an incredible season out of him. Mike Moustakas was the player of the year. He only played here 67 games and was the player of the year. It shows how good he was in those 67 games. Drove in 76 runs, hit 21 home runs, and just beat up our right field wall with doubles and home runs. So we all know he went on to great success in Kansas City. And then MJ Melendez, just in 2021, was the player of the year. Hit 28 home runs for us, hit 18 home runs in Kansas City last year. So that was, and we've had 2 league champions. 2010 team, which obviously produced a lot of major leaguers and key members of that Royals World Series team. And then 2021, and I hope I can sit here in a year or 2 and say the same thing. We had a lot of great players on that team that are now up in Kansas City and making a big impact. So, to kind of transition directly into that, I do have 3 guests with me from the Kansas City Royals. I'll welcome them all up here now. We'll have them take a seat over here. I'll introduce them, have a couple quick things, and then I would love to open it up for questions if any of y'all have them. First, we have Mitch Maier. City Royals. In the middle there, we have Tommy Shields. Tommy's going to be our field manager for the 2023 season. I almost said 2023 season with the Naturals. And then we have Christian Cologne. Christian is our bench coach for the Naturals here in 2023. Quick background on each. Mitch was a first-round pick in the 2003 draft, played in 359 career games in Kansas City. I personally got to see Mitch play in 2006 when he was with the Wichita Wranglers. That was a fantastic team. We almost won the league championship that year, and Mitch also did play for us with the Naturals in 2014. First base coach for Kansas City for a couple seasons, and he's been in the front office. He's our day-to-day contact with Kansas City for all things baseball operations or anything we can do to help them. Tommy will be the 7th manager in Naturals history. In 2022, he's a bench coach for the AAA Omaha Storm Chasers. This will be his 28th season of coaching professional baseball. Sorry, just reading off the press release. And it's his first managerial position with the Royals since spending 2012 and 2014 with the Burlington Club. He's a former 15th round selection of the Pittsburgh Pirates, 1986 amateur draft. Played the Pirate system from 86 to 90. Traded to the Orioles in 91 and made his big league debut a year later. Following a stint in Baltimore, he spent 93-94 with the Cubs and opened the 93 season with the Cubs. So we're glad to have Tommy managing our club this year, and I can't wait to get to work with him. Last, certainly not least, Christian Cologne. He was our assistant hitting coach last season in 2022 on our Naturals staff. Christian was a first-round pick for the Royals in 2010. He played 202 games for the Naturals, 6 seasons in the major leagues in his 12-year playing career. And I remember him best for his game-winning hit in the World Series against the New York Mets, in addition to many other things he accomplished. That's a pretty cool thing. So glad to have, again, all 3 of them here, and can't wait to see Tommy and Christian back in the dugout this year. I'll try to kick it off. I'll have a question for each of them, and then I'm going to hopefully get out of the way and let all of you ask questions, and I'll pass the mic here around. I'll start with Tommy. You've only been here just a little bit, but initial impressions of Northwest Arkansas and Arvest Ballpark?
Well, I went to the park this morning with Mitch, and Justin showed us around. It's a beautiful park. The community obviously loves the Naturals, so I'm excited about that. Anytime you can get a community to back a team, which obviously the ladies and gentlemen here are, I think it makes for a great marriage. I think this will be my 11th year managing, and I think the only other time I got this feeling was when I was in Delmarva with the Orioles managing, and that was a very close-knit relationship between Frank Perdue, who owned the ballpark there, and the community. So I get the same feeling here.
Thank you. For Mitch, just maybe some overall impressions heading into 2023, either Naturals specific or just in general for the Royals farm system.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, so talking about the Naturals, you mentioned some of the facility updates. I think it speaks volumes on when that facility was first built. We have the new agreement with Major League Baseball. Some of the requirements that are put in place to have those checked off this far in advance. You think about a stadium that was built in 2008. It's pretty impressive. It speaks to the player development atmosphere and facility that our players have had an opportunity to develop in. And you mentioned the 2010 team and what they went on to do. I think about the group that just won in 21 and them now in Kansas City with the opportunity to help us win a championship there again. And it continues to be a state-of-the-art facility. So we're really blessed in that aspect. I look at the community, to be a part of the community, to be here. This is my second year at this event, to see the support year in, year out. We're blessed to be a part of it. It's a long-standing relationship, to Justin's point, and we couldn't be happier with that. To be, have our players here. When our players are here for 6 months, to be a part of this community, we feel really good that they're in good hands here. So with that, moving into this season, we're looking forward to the 6th of April. We'll probably have some familiar faces from last year, guys repeating. We'll have some new prospects that have made the jump from our A-ball clubs. We're kicking off spring training here in a few weeks. The Major League group will start on the 13th for our WBC players. Our first game for Major League Spring Training is on the 24th of February, and then we'll be off and running pretty quick. So, we're looking forward to this year. We have, like I said, a pipeline. Players that are going to play here are going to be in Kansas City, whether it's sometime next year, and that'll continue to be. We rely heavily on our player development system, and this is a huge step in the process. So we're looking forward to this year. Again, we'll have a talented group. We probably didn't play to our standard last year, which is okay. It was a learning year, and with some of the challenges that group had comes a great opportunity for them to develop and learn and be better because of it. So we're looking forward to having Tommy and Christian lead the team here. And like I said, again, I look forward to every time we get a chance to come down to Arbus Ballpark in this community. So really looking forward to it.
And then I have one for Christian. You just recently were playing on the diamond. What was it like transitioning into the dugout, being our assistant hitting coach, and then being the bench coach for this coming season?
Thank you, Justin. So, yeah, it was different. I definitely felt like the mentality was still. I felt like I was a player out there with them, but I learned a lot. I think the struggles that we went through as a team last year was, like Mitch is saying, it's good for us to just take as learning experiences and not as failures so much. And this level is it's hard. They're almost to the major leagues. They're close. They could see the finish line, but there's still other things that need to be addressed. And so it was good for me to learn how to prepare for, not as a player I prepare for myself, but now preparing for somebody else and someone else's career really came before anything. So I had good people around to help me make that transition. And so I'm looking forward to this new opportunity. I have a guy here that has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, and so I can't wait to talk to him about baseball and just really learn everything I can.
Any questions out here? I have more, but hopefully somebody else can take the pressure off.
Sure, I'll ask. As a season ticket holder for many, many years, we were privileged to have the honor to come to a team dinner when the kids first hit town. Will we get that opportunity this year, since COVID is kind of out of the way, hopefully, and get to meet your kids and our team?
I'll take that one. I hope so. It just depends on the break of spring training camp and when the players can get here and when we can do media day. If it lines out right, my intention is yes. It just depends on that final schedule. But if we can't, I hopefully can find another opportunity shortly thereafter where we can get together.
See you spring training.
You got it.
Last 2 years, we've seen changes at the minor league level with positioning of players on the field. Some of those we're going to see in the major leagues this year. Are there any new rules or adjustments taking place at the AA level that we'll see this year?
Which one do you want to?
No, there's some new things that'll possibly be going in at the rookie ball levels, but for the most part, we'll stay consistent with what we saw last year. There's a little bit of variation from what the major league group's doing as regards to the pitch clock, but there'll be a lot of those in place as far as the disengagements, the 19 and 14 second pitch clocks, the shift restrictions, and where the infielders have to be at that time of when the pitcher engages the rubber. There's talks about the automatic balls and strikes and how those eventually that would potentially be implemented. There's other experimental things going on, but at this level right now, I don't foresee anything major outside of it. And they adjusted the bases last year, larger bases. They had us adjust halfway through the season to where they positioned second base. So, there'll probably be some small tweaks, but we'll keep the larger bases, we'll keep the pitch clock, we'll keep the shift restrictions in place, and the disengagements. So, like I said, but nothing major. Not like last year where we had pretty wide sweeping changes.
Probably address this to Mitch. The player development piece in Latin America. Talk to that a little bit. What's going on, and really kind of the backdrop of that is it just seems, watching, there just seems to be a lot of churn with Latin American pitchers through here. They just seem to fly off the wheel pretty quick. And I just wonder how is that all put together?
When you mean churn,
It just seems like we have a lot that come through.
Yeah.
But they're not here long, but yet they're not in baseball. It doesn't seem like for a long period of time either. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we do have in the Dominican Republic, all the Major League Baseball teams have academies in the DR. Similar to what restrictions we have here in the United States, where we're allowed to have 190 players in the off season. Come opening day, we're allowed to have 180 players. We're allowed to have 70 players on our Dominican roster. We actually just had signing day, and you might have seen yesterday. But we got to keep that roster at 70 players. Our academy down there is a dormitory style. There's classrooms, full weight room, training room, cafeteria, their locker room, and then you go out and we have 2 full fields and then a mini field. State-of-the-art 4 batting cages, very similar to what we actually have in Arizona. And it's a huge piece. It's a huge piece of us acquiring players internationally, having them at the academy. We can sign those players starting at 16 years old. So developing those players, not only as baseball players, but as human beings, is really important to us. That transition, if players make it to the United States, they'll report to our complex in Arizona, to where then that's the next step of their development process. Not everyone does. It's very similar to players we acquire domestically. Not everyone advances to the higher ranks. That's just, it's part of it, unfortunately, but that's why we pour into them so hard as individuals. They need to leave our organization better than when they came into our organization. So, but it's a huge piece, the international, like I said, development of the players. It is a bottleneck effect where not every player is going to make it to this level. It's performance based, obviously. You think of some of the guys, Michael from Venezuela, who was here last year, Angel Zerpa, is going to be a big part of what we're doing in Kansas City moving forward. Sebastian Rivero. So Jeffrey Del Rosario will be in Omaha. He was here for most of the season last year. So we'll continue to have a large group of our players from Latin America, international players that will blend with our domestic players once they arrive here and continue to work their way up. But it's a big piece of what we're doing. And like I said, you look across not only our roster, but Major League Baseball rosters. The Latin American players are a crucial part of our game. So developing those players from day one, get a chance to mold those kids into the type of player we represent as well. So.
What are a couple of the biggest challenges you face with the new kids that come in here?
Who's that for? Are you talking when we first acquire them into our organization?
Yeah, at this level, here in North.
Okay, I'll speak on it a little bit. I'll pass it to both Tommy and Christian. If you get to Double-A baseball, you can play in the big leagues, and it's a big step. It's a really big step going from A ball. There's a lot of times A ball baseball is not totally off from high level college. There are some similarities. It is a little tougher, obviously, but players that can make it to Double A, like you're enduring day in, day out, the pitching, the position players. You know, if you're a pitcher, the more mistakes you make, if you're not, narrowing that down, you're gonna end up paying for it. And same like I said on the other side, it's relentless as far as the quality of talent once you get to this level. And it's a hard adjustment because a lot of players have never failed to that degree sometimes, through their high school careers or their college careers. They've never failed, and a lot of times Double A is the first time a lot of players fail, and whether, they have to navigate working through that, and guess what, you have another game tomorrow, and then you have another game the next day. So it really compounds on you as a player. So this is a big stepping stone to where if you can so-called beat this level, you're gonna be able to play in the big leagues. But that's why it is such a tough level, because a lot of guys are experiencing things for the first time in their careers. I'll let Tommy and Christian also speak on it.
Yeah, to expand on what Mitch said, this is the first time all the clubs only have one team at that level. In A-ball, teams have a high A club and a low A club. So that pyramid is starting to get pretty narrow. And it's probably the first time hitters are facing pitchers that can somewhat control their breaking balls. This isn't, we've all seen games where guys don't control their breaking balls in Double A. I get it, but you're starting to get to a level where they can command and control their pitches better, so it's tougher on hitters. You're starting to see more hitters that can control their own strike zone. So everything, it's that fight for that 17 inches, right? And it's starting to get a little competitive. And I'll give you a little anecdote from personal experience. I went to Harrisburg, and in it was a while ago. I started out the year 5 for 56. And like Mitch said, that's the first time I had ever really failed. And it was a fight the whole year to get back to where, I thought I should be. And it was probably one of the more important years for me because I did get back to where I thought I should be. So you prove to yourself you can do it. These kids have got to fail, some of them, actually all of them. The freaks, the Juan Sotos of the world that don't fail, and he failed last year for the first time. But most of these kids are going to fail at some point, and it ends up being at this level a lot.
I mean, they covered everything, but thinking, back to when I came here, I'm coming from California, went to Cal State Fullerton, and, we get here, and it's completely different. It's different, atmosphere, and like they're saying, I think mentally, it's just a lot of pressure because you're almost there, but can you mentally get over that hurdle of facing these guys? So then when you start as a position player, you start facing better pitching, and you struggle, a lot of doubt comes in, and obviously they got to work through that, but it's just it's a tough level. I think it's the toughest level. I think it just separates you from if you're really going to be able to carry on, or you're going to kind of stay there for a couple of years. And so, seeing the group last year was pretty cool because they did struggle with some things, but they ended up moving on, like Justin said, and we're looking forward to the next group coming in. But it's just, I'm glad that I live in the area because I can also help them be comfortable, because I think that's part of it. I think they need to just be embraced by the community, and you guys do a great job showing up. I see you guys every day. So it's cool to see, to start seeing familiar faces, because sometimes, they just haven't seen familiar faces in a long time. And so, them getting around a little bit and getting to know you know, our fans and everything. I think it helps a lot, them just calming down and understanding it's just another level, you know?
I'll hang on to it.
If you adopt the electric strike zone, do you think it would be good for the game or bad for the game? Or I just want your opinions on what you
He's got one, I can tell.
I do have one. I think it would be terrible. I think it would be terrible. I do. I'm sorry, Mitch, if that's not an opinion I want to share. But, I mean, I think the human element is part of the game.
Yeah.
And I've never understood, how do they, on a 3-2 pitch with a runner going, and it's a strike or a ball, how does the computer work in that regard? I have no idea how that would work. I mean, if there's a delay and he says strike and the catcher doesn't throw it, isn't there a problem with that?
Outlaw
You know what I'm
base
saying?
stealing.
I don't know. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I do agree with Tommy. There's ways that they're looking to possibly utilize that to you know, they've implemented a challenge system to where, you know, similar to, you know, an NFL game that you could challenge. You could challenge. You know, each team gets I think it's 3 challenges for the game, and you can you know, a ball, strike, pitch, to where you can challenge it. So there's ways that, you know, they're looking at possibly implementing it, you know, to where it's not totally out of the hands of the umpire, because that is, you know, we've experienced it. There is, you know, and actually, well, I say we've experienced it. It's been in the fall league, but none of our affiliate teams have actually played with the, it's called ABS, automatic ball strike system. We have not in that regard, but it has been in the fall league. But so yeah, they're looking at ways that if they were to implement something like that, what would it look like, and it would probably most likely be a challenge type system to where it's just a few plays that we're able to review. So
I know we're close on time, so I figured I'd just a quick one for each of you. I hope I didn't steal yours, Christian, but like just favorite memory from when you played for each of you.
wow, I mean, there's a lot. You know, draft day is a big one, and then debut is a huge one. You make my debut in Kansas City. I actually went in. We were playing the Tigers, and I went in the second half. I got in like late that day. Got called up. Got in late. Was not in the starting lineup, and I went in the game late in the game. It was a blowout. But yeah, just my first at bat. My knees were shaking. I was scared to death. I mean, you know, you work so hard. You know, every little kid dreams of it. So to be standing there and getting to fulfill it was huge. You know, obviously there's tons of people that have to have impact to make that happen, and luck as well. Like I mean, injuries, health. I mean, there's so many things that have to go right to you know, to play on that field. So that's probably the biggest one for me. You know, I didn't get to win a World Series or any of that cool stuff.
Well, I didn't either. So my favorite would probably be opening day of '93, when I had been called up with the Orioles for 7 days and sat on the bench and didn't do anything. So when I made the club out of spring training in '93 and standing in for the national anthem, I was standing next to Matt Walbeck, and I remember looking at him. I'm like, "This is pretty cool right here." So that was a cool memory.
Well, for me, getting drafted was amazing. It was great. In the 2014-15, it was like nothing I'd ever experienced or thought I'd be part of. It was something bigger than just myself and the whole organization pulled together from top to bottom, and just the fans, how they embraced that. That was amazing. And then the first day in the big leagues, the debut, it's something that you will never forget. I mean, I remember like it was yesterday, going into Minnesota. I think we were winning by a lot, or no, we were losing by a lot. So they put me in, and I was usually, I'd take pitches, and work the count and stuff, and man, I saw the first pitch. I wanted to get out of there. To your point, I was like, get me out of here right now. I just want to feel normal. So I ended up having 2 at-bats because the game we just kept hitting, and after that first at-bat, I'm like, oh, well, I'm coming up again. And now it's like, I got to get that hit. You're looking for that hit. So that night we go to Cleveland and not playing. But then it's like 6 o'clock and Nate Yost comes over. We're taking ground balls on the last group. So usually the game starts at 7. The last group hits later, and you don't have a lot of time. But those guys aren't playing. He said, hey, actually, you're starting. We have some issues going on with Omar. He can't go. So you're actually playing tonight. And I was looking back, I'm like, I got nervous immediately, but I didn't have time to think about it. And so it ended up being a good game, and those probably 72 hours, like, roller coaster. Yeah, just like the World Series game. Didn't think I was ever going to get in, and here we are. It happens quick.
Well, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. Thank you to our guests. We appreciate them coming for this event.
So much, Justin. Huge part of the Springdale community, and we are so excited to, when's opening day?
April 6th.
April 6th, home opener, everybody. Tickets are sold out already for that, right? Yeah. Tommy, thank you so much. Mitch, thank you. Christian, thank you very much. We appreciate you so much. Jerry, come on up. We'll do the raffle, and we will release you on your own recognizance.